This gent is one of our favorites, and I'm not just saying that because he's on hold listening to me introduce him. I tell that to people when he's not listening. Unless this is like Hard Knocks. I'll say things knowing I look good because people are hearing what I'm saying. Is that what you're saying, Chris?
I mean, the people are pushing back on me for that.
You
crazy.
should. Yeah, good. That means people are listening to
I
us.
live in reality, people.
Okay,
like
good. Tyrann Mathieu of the New Orleans Saints back here in the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Tyrann?
Rich, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How's life? How's life?
Man, life is great, man. Truly blessed, man. So, looking forward to year 11.
That's what I was about to say. Is this year 11 for you?
Yeah, man. It flew by.
It sure did. Let's just put it this way. If I had come up to you to the combine where you and Deion were down on the field and I was seeing Deion talking to you and things of that nature, and if I had told you you'd play 11 years in this league, you would have said what to me, Tyrann?
Man, you know what? I'd probably say how and how did I do?
Right.
Definitely blessed, man. Definitely grateful and fortunate. Came in the league, 10 years ago, and it's been a hell of a ride since, man.
Well, I tell you, 3-time All-Pro safety, 3-time Pro Bowler, and Super Bowl 54 champion. I would have told you that on that field. You'd have said what there? Through 10 years.
Oh man, I would have been grateful, man. Obviously, I've had a lot of great coaches, throughout my years, and I've had a lot of great defensive coaches as well too. And I played with like some of the best players, of this generation. So from Patrick Peterson to J.J. Watt and obviously Chris Jones. So I've been blessed, man.
What did Deion say to you back then, Tyrann? What did he say?
Well, I remember Deion visited me when I was in Florida training with Patrick Peterson's dad, and he was always in support of me, right? Like he was always encouraging, and he would always give me these words of advice to just stay focused and stay committed to football, and obviously keep God first, and try your best to keep great people around you. So I was always thankful for Deion and all the encouraging words that he gives me, and he still gives me to this day.
And a lot of folks are wondering, with him about being real or just putting on an act, and coaching is just another vehicle for him. But this is another example of he's always been coaching. It's just now he's doing it with just a whistle around his neck, Tyrann?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's always been, that kind of person. Obviously he's self-motivated, right? And I think we all kind of, know that from his playing days. He always believes in himself and, his abilities and what he can do. And but I was always grateful because he always tried to pour that, into me. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, I always was grateful, to kind of hear his voice. And, like I said, still to this day, he's still one of those encouraging voices, in my ear.
And I always tell truth with you and you with me, and that's why I love having you on, as we have real conversations, Tyrann Mathieu, is when he was pouring it into you, and a lot of people thought it was a waste of time to pour anything into you. Right, Tyrann?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'd probably say, Deion, and, along with Patrick Peterson, I think both of those guys, because I thought they really knew me. Right. And, whereas, on the outside, I think a lot of people can, get caught up in the moniker, right? The honey badger. And, maybe they, saw me tweet something on Twitter, right? Or maybe they, saw me playing a game and they kind of formed their own perspective of me. Whereas I think with those two guys, we've had a lot of conversations, right? Like we've been to a lot of dinners together. We've shared a lot of family space. So, he definitely knew like the real Tyrann, right? And I think that was encouraging for him to, keep trying to motivate me.
When did things turn for you? That something like the way we started our interview, 11th year in the league, Super Bowl ring, multiple Pro Bowls, multiple All-Pro lists. When did things turn for you to allow all of this to happen?
Yeah, well, I think the shift really for me was, obviously not playing my last year, at LSU in 2012, right? And, getting arrested, right, that fall, right? And, having all these expectations, right? And, obviously, having to declare for the draft and, having to move to Florida, right? And to kind of start working out and training and, be around Pat P. Dad, And so I'd probably say right around that time, right? Like as the combine's approaching, I had a lot of tough interviews, during the combine cycle, right? And, for me to be able to kind of sit in that fire, to be honest with myself, to be honest with other people, I think that was like the moment, or the phase where, things kind of really started to kind of turn a corner for me. And, I think once the Cardinals drafted me, and then being able to kind of play with Pat, and then being in the locker room with, Larry Fitzgerald, and Calais Campbell. Like, I think those were like the three big brothers, I needed, as a 20-year-old. So, I give those guys a lot of credit for, embracing me and, teaching me the game, outside the game.
And now here you are again, entering year 11. Tyrann Mathieu on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, let's talk about the Saints and the expectation level. Let's talk about it. What are they for you going into this division? Brady's gone. This just in. And it does appear this is a wide open division for you guys to take. Tyrann, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we're a talented football team. We've added some pieces.
Oh, yes.
To the team, this offseason with, Derek Carr and, Jamal Williams and, even some defenders, up front. And so, I think, too, we've added some great coaches, too, you know what I mean, in the back end. So the expectations are high. I think they're always high, especially for all 32 teams. I think everybody's trying to, punch their ticket, to the playoffs and, win their division and, try to make a run for it. But, I think we're definitely excited. We feel like we have all the right pieces. We've been working really, really hard, all spring and even throughout training camp. So, it's all about just kind of, using that momentum, throughout the preseason, throughout training camp and, starting off fast, this season and, finishing strong. And
obviously you had a front row seat, Tyrann, to what the Bucs are kind of going through right now, which is what happens next after the GOAT leaves the quarterback spot. And it does appear that you've landed on Derek Carr now, clearly, and he's there. Yeah. What is he bringing to this equation on that front, Tyrann Mathieu?
Well, he's a great leader. I think he's a great leader for our team. He's a great leader for the offense. A lot of those guys gravitate towards him. You can see those guys before practice, after practice, even in the locker room, right, talking about routes and, how they see things. And so I think all those things are encouraging. I think he's always been a pretty good quarterback, in this league. And, I've had a chance to kind of play against him, throughout my time in KC. And, he used to always give us headaches, you know what I mean? So, he's a guy that can definitely, spin the ball. And, he's a guy, too, that he's going to find his playmakers, and get those guys the ball and let those guys go to work.
How is Michael Thomas looking on that front? I mean, it's been a minute for him.
Yeah, he's coming along, and I think, what's really encouraging is, he's at practice every day, right? Like, he's one of the first guys out. He's one of the last guys to leave off the field. He's still super competitive. And so, he's still a threat. I think anytime 13 is out there, teams have to account for him. Teams have to respect him. And just wishing him to, obviously stay healthy and, do what he's always done in his league and, which is, really produce. So I think we're all looking forward to, having him back this season and, him, putting his hand in the pile and, helping us win.
What's the size of the chip on Derek Carr's shoulder, Tyrann? Give me what the adjective you use for the size of the chip on his shoulder here. What are you going for?
I mean, simply put, I think it's pretty big. I can remember coming in, in the spring, right, and like he was like the first one in the building. He was working out with the DBs and wide receivers, right. He had a different, spirit, from one that I've seen in the past. What I mean? I've played against him, a handful of times, and but he has that look in his eye, man. So I think he's definitely ready to roll this year. And, I think he, too, knows, he has a lot of playmakers around him. He has a pretty good defense. So, I think he's in a good spot right now.
And Cam Jordan, him signing and basically writing his ticket to finish with the Saints and just play with the Saints. What does he look, I love having him on, and I know he's got a great, voice and a great eye for the camera. But can you take me behind the scenes as to what he does to lead, for you guys to take his example and roll with it? What does he do for you guys?
Yeah, man. I mean, he's like a saint through and through.
Yes,
right?
he is. Yep.
He embodies, everything that it means to kind of be, a Saints defender, and a person that helps out a lot in the community, right? So when I think of Cam, obviously he's the all-time sack leader in Saints history, right? I think we all know that, but me being from New Orleans and growing up here, you always appreciate guys that that come to the city and kind of adopt the city as their own, right? And so, he's one of those guys, man. He means well. He's a great teammate. He's a great leader. He's one of the hardest workers, too, on our team.
Tyrann Mathieu of the New Orleans Saints. Couple minutes left with him here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm going to take my shot here. I don't know if you want to wade in on this, but former coach Sean Payton, what do you think of his comments about Nathaniel Hackett? I know this is definitely not your table, but you do know the coach. What did you think about when you heard him say what he said about the guy he is replacing in Denver, Tyrann?
I mean, a lot of different things, happen in this league. Obviously it was, probably, unnecessary. You know what I mean? I think, Coach Payton has won a lot in his league, right? He's won a ton of games. And I think some things you probably could just, leave alone and not kind of indulge in. So, I saw that he, came back and apologized, for what he said. So I'm pretty sure he understands it.
Right, but did it sound like something he would say? Does it seem familiar, right? He's got that red ass in him, Tyrann, right?
Oh yeah, like I said, man, he's won a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's won a ton of games in this league, and I think him too, probably has a chip on his shoulder too. So, so yeah.
All right. Now, what about you? What size chip, shoulder chip do you have going into year 11 here and looking down the road as you and I are talking in another training camp together?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a chip on my shoulder this year. Definitely feel like, I'm a part of a team that could, definitely make a run for it this year, so which is, very, very exciting. Kind of got off to a slow start last year, but, found a way to kind of finish strong. So, I have some, some motivation and some confidence in that. So, just looking forward to it, man. Just looking forward to having a great year this year, a healthy season, and, just making those plays that, I'm used to making.
And let's visualize it. What's it going to be like a month from Thursday when you're in the Superdome? Titans are in town, week 1, another season, another year for you, year 11. What do you think it's going to be like looking around at your hometown stadium with you wearing the fleur-de-lis on the side of your
Yeah, I mean,
helmet?
It's going to be electric, man. Anytime you get a chance to, play in the Superdome, with these fans, man, they're so spirited, like they're all into it. And so, it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be great to, play against Derrick, Henry and, even, DeAndre Hopkins. So, we'll have our hands full that week, but, I think we'll all be geared up, ready to roll.
Yeah, you stole my last question for you. So it's really loud. Does it get real quiet when Derrick Henry's in the second level coming at you then? Does it get real quiet for you?
Yeah, for sure. He's one of those guys, man. He's a special player. Obviously, he's a big back that could, bruise and punish a defense, but
yeah.
he's known to, get in some space, hit you with a stiff arm or outrun a few people. So, you just got to be ready to roll, man. Keep your pads low, take the right angles, and get all 11 hands to the ball.
That Deion Sanders, did he teach you about business decisions back in the day when he was with you? That's what he was talking about.
He didn't know.
Okay. That's what he referred to as a business decision with Derrick Henry coming at you. I could hear his voice in my head right now. Tyrann, thanks for the call. I cherish our talks, and I'm so excited for you in a year 11 that you're doing it, and you're doing it for your team that you grew up watching. It's so special. Enjoy it. You be well.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate you.
As always, that's Tyrann Mathieu at Mathieu_era on Twitter and all the other socials right here on the program. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.